Have you ever wondered what the life of a baseball player living on the edge of oblivion is like? Or how an entire rotation of $1 billion team can simply fall apart like sand slipping through your fingers? Well, in today's video, we're not talking about glamour, superstars, or $300 million contracts. We're talking about real life in baseball. The kind that starts with a bullpen being quietly dismantled on some random Monday and ends with an unexpected name emerging as a possible salvation of an entire season. Yes, two seemingly disconnected news items, but that meet in the soul of the Dodgers. First, the release of Lou Trivino, a veteran trying to stay relevant, designated for assignment without ceremony to make room for a promising youngster, Edgardo Enriquez. And second, the possible return of an old friend to the Angelino fan base, Andrew Heaney, now with the Pirates, but who might be on his way to reunite with a team that saw him shine in 2022. Between the silent goodbye of one and the possible comeback of another, the Dodgers keep trying to save a rotation hanging by a thread. News number one: the path of a relief pitcher in the MLB can be as unstable as it is brutal, especially when living on the edge of the 40-man roster. For Lou Trivino, this reality has hit hard again. The Los Angeles Dodgers, seeking stability and competitiveness in a bullpen affected by injuries, despite still playing at a high level, made a difficult short-term strategic decision to designate Trivino for assignment, a move that opened space for youth and at the same time temporarily ends a cycle of veterans still fighting to prove his worth. On Monday night, the announcement was made in a direct, almost silent way. Like many administrative decisions that transform careers, the Dodgers promoted young pitcher Edgardo Enriquez from AAA Oklahoma City, and to clear a spot on the active roster, chose to designate Trivino. With this, the 33-year-old veteran, who already has 6 seasons in the major leagues, once again enters a gray area in his career, the limbo between what he once was and what he might still become. Trivino arrived at the Dodgers at the beginning of the 2025 season after a short stint with the San Francisco Giants that ended in his release. He was seen as a depth piece, someone who could provide stable innings while the medical department filled with important names. In 26 appearances, he pitched 29 innings with a 3.76 ERA. Decent numbers, but not enough to guarantee a spot on a team aiming for excellence. He recorded 18 strikeouts, gave up 29 hits and 8 walks, with performances ranging between solid and forgettable. Although he didn't compromise the team, he was never considered for high-pressure moments, and his spot became increasingly fragile as other players started to recover or new options emerged in the system. The choice of Edgardo Enriquez, on the other hand, is a clear sign of the direction the Dodgers intend to take. At just 23 years old, Enriquez represents a bet on raw potential, talent still being polished, but already showing traits that impress the franchise's scouts. In Oklahoma City, he didn't have a brilliant performance, a 5.89 ERA, the result of a season with ups and downs, but his ability to generate strikeouts and volume, something the Dodgers deeply value, caught attention and paved the way for his promotion. Enriquez has only 3 innings of MLB experience, which makes him an unknown in many aspects. However, his arrival on the main roster reveals the Dodgers' urgency and desire to test new alternatives, especially when it comes to explosion and freshness in the bullpen. With the team trying to maintain its hegemony in the National League West Division and preparing for challenges at the end of the season, every decision becomes crucial, and every inning pitched a golden chance for those seeking to establish themselves. Meanwhile, Lou Trivino faces another crossroads. The rule is clear. If no team claims him in the coming days, he could be sent to the minor leagues. However, given his age and history, it's unlikely he will accept that designation. Most likely, he will opt to become a free agent, looking for one more opportunity elsewhere, just like what happened after his release from the Giants, when he signed with the Dodgers only 2 days later. Trivino is not just any name. In his glory days with the Oakland Athletics, he even acted as a closer and was a sought-after piece by teams like the New York Yankees at the 2022 trade deadline. His journey, however, has been marked by serious elbow and shoulder injuries that kept him off the mound for nearly 2 years. Since then, he has been reinventing himself, try to regain consistency, confidence, and above all, a place in the sun in one of the most ruthless sports for those who lose their rhythm. With every new designation, every new release, Trivino's story gains more dramatic contours of a veteran who once was under the spotlight and now fights not to disappear into the shadows. For the Dodgers, this move is just one piece in their big strategic board. But for Trivino, it might be the decisive chapter of his journey. Between youth and experience, risk and security, baseball keeps turning. And in it, every player knows the next chance might be the last one, or the most important of all. News number 2. While Lou Trivino was clearing out his locker in the Dodgers clubhouse, facing yet another tough twist in his career, the MLB clock kept relentlessly ticking toward the trade deadline. The news of his release arrived as a cruel reminder of the fragility that accompanies the role of a bullpen pitcher living on the edge of the 40-man roster. At 33 years old, Trivino knows well how unforgiving this game can be. After promising seasons with the Athletics and brief interest in the Yankees at the 2022 trade deadline, the veteran saw his career interrupted by 2 devastating injuries to his elbow and shoulder that sidelined him for nearly 2 years. When the Dodgers signed him, few knew what to expect. And even though he wasn't part of the bullpen's trusted core, Trivino delivered 26 solid appearances, posting a 3.76 ERA, 18 strikeouts, and some decent innings while the team dealt with a flood of injuries. But baseball rarely offers time for gratitude. On Monday night, Trivino's name appeared on the dreaded designated for assignment DFA list, making room for the return of Edgardo Enriquez, a 23-year-old still finding his footing at the major league level, but carrying raw potential and a strikeout rate that catches attention. Enriquez, despite a high 5.89 ERA in AAA, represent a bet on the future, on youthful energy, and perhaps on the hope for a new arm that can surprise despite still playing at a high level. Represents a short term. It's most likely that he will pass through waivers unclaimed, reject a minor league assignment, and become a free agent again, as happened just a few months ago when the Dodgers signed him shortly after he was released by the Giants. As the Dodgers continue to make adjustments behind the scenes, an even more urgent need is beginning to take shape on the horizon. The starting rotation is falling apart. Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, Roki Sasaki, and Tony Gonsolin, all sidelined with injuries, have left the starting staff in ruins even before the All-Star game. And no matter how deep and organized the Dodgers franchise is, there's no competing in October without at least a minimally functional rotation. That's why, with the deadline knocking at the door, rumors have started to gain traction. In a recent video, content creator Steven Russell suggested a curious but plausible solution: the return of Andrew Heaney. Yes, The same Heaney who played in Los Angeles in 2022 shined with a 3.10 ERA and a 13.5 strikeouts per 9 innings rate, but whose trajectory was interrupted by a shoulder injury. Since then, he found a new home in Texas, where he won the World Series with the Rangers in 2023. Now, at 34 years old, Heaney is pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates on a modest $5.25 million contract with consistent numbers: a 4.16 ERA in 17 starts, 93 innings pitched, 71 strikeouts, and a .235 opponent batting average. The proposal isn't dazzling, but it makes sense. Heaney has become a stable pitcher, capable of providing valuable innings and easing the burden on an overworked bullpen. More than that, he knows the Dodgers environment, has worn the uniform before, and could, in an ideal scenario, take on the role of a playoff swingman. The kind of pitcher who can start games, pitch long relief, or even serve as emergency insurance. And with top market names like Freddie Peralta and Seth Lugo still surrounded by uncertainty regarding their availability, maybe Andrew Heaney is the name that makes the most sense right now. Whether betting on young arms like Enriquez or bringing back familiar faces like Heaney, the Dodgers seem to know their margin for error is shrinking. The 2025 season is far from over, but the time to act is now. And, as always in baseball, the most unexpected paths are often the ones that change the fate of an entire team. Leave your comments on what you think about today's news, and we'll see you in the next Dodgers update.